Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show Podcast. We are back again, yeah, and Happy New Year to everyone, even though we've already wished you Happy New Year, I guess. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, this. You know, those last few episodes that we released over the course of the holidays were pre-recorded weeks ago. So ourselves and the Rab Show team, we've been on a kind of a break this last while, which doesn't often happen. But yeah, we're now back, good and proper. Now, I have to say that this week's podcast will sound a bit different, and we'll get into the reasons behind all of that. First of all, we have to do our introductions though, don't we? So, if this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, then you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk, reflecting everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week we're here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the great Highland bagpipe and its people. And yeah, like every other podcast under the sun, we do have a Patreon. So if you want to help support the show, you can. There's a link in your show notes right now. You can go and click on that and get your mitts on loads of extras. Now I have to say, over the course of the holidays, our Patreon faithful did get quite a wealth of extra content over there, I have to say. So, yeah, there hasn't been a better time to be part of the Patreon faithful. So, yeah, shout out to those guys. Those guys are awesome. Thank you so much for clicking support. So, yeah, if you're anyways curious and would like to help support us, then go on ahead. Head over there to Patreon. Now, let's talk about why this podcast will sound a bit different. Well, I'm sure you probably hear my phone buzzing in the background. Let me switch that off. Yeah, the reason this podcast sounds a bit different is because, well, yeah, over the course of the holidays and the break and everything, I've been kind of refurbishing things. Yeah, we've been kind of redecorating the studio space and everything in the, well, yeah, hoping in the near future that everything will be up and running and that you'll actually see the evidence of which in a few weeks. Yeah, we're developing our recording space into a proper video production studio. So, yeah, there's been a lot of money invested and a lot of time and effort over the course of the holidays. So, as people were eating turkey and drinking wine, I was out of my garage repainting and laying floors and soundproofing and installing studio lights and all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, if you do want to get, behind the scenes and find out what exactly I've been up to, then do head to Patreon, because our Patreon faithful will be across all of that detail in the next while. But just wanted to let you know that over the course of the holidays, we weren't completely resting on our laurels in front of the telly. No, we've been redeveloping a lot of stuff with regards to the Big Rab Show. And yes, we are hoping that this year, 2025, will be a big year as far as our coverage goes of the piping world. Now, not only from competitions from the trad and folk scene as well, solo scene, we do want to try and cover every possible aspect of the bagpiping world, and we will be dedicating a future podcast talking all about our aspirations for the year as we look at the season ahead. We believe there's a lot to look forward to in 2025. It's shaping up to be such a competitive season, and yeah, we have a lot of ground to cover. We have a lot of very lofty ideas, whether they're actually going to be possible or not, don't know, but we are trying, and we are investing quite a bit. So, yeah, hopefully you will see a lot of evidence in that in the near future over the next few weeks as everything comes to fruition, hopefully. So, yeah, if you aren't already subscribed to us on YouTube, then you should be, because that's where a lot of our new content will be going, over there on our Big Rab Show YouTube channel. Also, right here on the podcast as well, you'll be hearing a lot of brand new stuff, all being kind of fed into the podcast as the year progresses. We have a lot of ideas ahead for content and stuff, and yeah, we're hoping you guys can join us for the ride. So, if you aren't subscribed on YouTube, please do go over there, click on subscribe and like and share and all that kind of usual stuff. But also, you can also subscribe to us here on the podcast. So, no matter where you're listening to us right now, it could be on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, there's loads of different podcast outlets, and they all do allow you to follow or subscribe this particular pod. So, if you don't want to miss another episode, that's what we recommend. Okay? Click on that button, and then you'll never miss another upload. There you go. All right, so all of that work aside, by way of an introduction to explain what we've been up to over the holidays, it's good to be back in the studio again. Well, that's kind of the reason why this doesn't sound correct, because I'm not in the studio. I'm actually in my kid's bedroom right now. I kicked them out and said, hey, your dad has to make a podcast tonight, so get out. So that's exactly what's happened. So, yeah, if you do hear a washing machine in the background, or maybe the phone would ring or something, I'm in the house, and, yeah, family life continues while, yeah, I'm here making a podcast talking about pipe bands. So let's get into it then, shall we? With each and every podcast, we get into listener mail. Now, the topic of this week's podcast is such a huge area for discussion, and we briefly talked about it in a live stream online. Now, we're going to bring this in a full topic of the week, because we got a wealth of listener mail all on this one topic. Yeah, over the course of the holidays and the lead-up, of course, we got the announcement about the UK Championships, which have been announced to be taking place in Edinburgh on the 12th of July. So, yes, Northern Ireland has lost a major, but also that date, the 12th of July, is quite significant for a lot of people here on this side of the Irish Sea. We're going to unpack that in this week's topic. I'm not going to unpack it here now, but I have to say, yeah, full credit to everyone who did spend their time and send in a wealth of listener mail on this topic. We did think that we'd get into all aspects of it on our live stream, and we will be bringing that in this week's topic of the week. So to everyone who sent in listener mail, thank you. Yes, we will get into every aspect of this discussion going forward. So, for you out there listening right now, if you do want to send us in your listener mail, you can do, of course. Our email box is always open. bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Now, we mentioned on a previous pod, talking about GPSR. Yeah, the General Product Safety Regulation. Yeah, now we spoke about this because companies such as Flam 5 and others have made announcements saying that they will no longer be shipping their product to Northern Ireland. And this is all due to these EU regulations under Brexit, and shipping and exporting products from mainland Great Britain across the Irish Sea to Northern Ireland has been problematic, to say the very least. So a lot of companies, rather than just tackling that problem, have decided, yeah, they're no longer going to supply Northern Ireland. So, I have to say, we've got a number of emails from the companies that we initially reached out to ahead of the holidays. A lot of the companies were saying that they were engaging with their chambers of commerce and local councils and stuff, and looking for advice with regards to GPSR. We did get a number of responses back from those companies, well, just this past week, to say, well, they've continued to ship goods to Northern Ireland all over the Christmas period and have not experienced any problems. Yeah. So, now, I'm not going to name the companies who have been doing this, okay, for fear of reprisal. But it does seem that, yeah, the export of bagpiping goods across the Irish Sea is, it's still happening. Yeah, so I have to say, we will certainly keep across this. We do know it's very concerning for customers here in Northern Ireland who are going to be purchasing pipes made in Scotland and trying to ship them across the Irish Sea. It is a problem. And, we know some businesses that have completely stepped away from shipping to Northern Ireland. We mentioned all this on a previous pod, but it is interesting that there are a number of companies now that are just continuing to ship as normal and just not ignoring the GPSR rules. They do know that they exist, but to date, no company that I'm aware of has been penalised under these regulations. So we'll keep a close eye on this. It is very interesting. Yeah. All right. So I have to say, the rest of our listener mail has pretty much all been on this UK Championship story. And that's why we're dedicating a full episode to it. There's a lot of other stuff that we could have got caught up on. There's a lot of other topics that we could have tackled at this point in the year. But instead, we're going to dedicate it all to this announcement and the shock, I think, for Northern Irish bands for the UK Championships. Now, you might think that this is an overreaction on our behalf, and like, oh, Rab, come on, get over it, it's just another day. But, this honestly has had a pretty shattering effect for bands here, and we need to reflect that, I guess, All right. Our email address is always open. If you do have any thoughts and opinions on it, bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Also, we have been doing a lot of admin behind the scenes, sorting out future episodes. We're very aware that there's a lot of concerts and big events that's going to be happening in 2025. And yeah, we're putting the work in behind the scenes to try and attend these events and cover them for you guys. So yeah, we have a lot of great coverage coming your way. All right. So, listener mail is out of the way. The next thing on the agenda is Weekly Drone. Now, our website, bigrabshow.com, there's a big button right at the top of it called Weekly Drone. You can click on that and let us know your thoughts and feelings, warts and all, on anything, basically. And I have to say, over the course of the holidays, it seemed to be as people were kind of chilling out, I guess. You know, over the holidays, that a lot of people had a lot of time to submit weekly drones. And we have a lot of them. Now, I have to say, yeah, we've got quite a few in relation to the UK Championships. But, yeah, I think I just wanted to put it out there. If you do want to submit a weekly drone, go ahead. There's a lot of people who contacted me and said that they were anxious about submitting weekly drones because they wanted to know what happened to their contact information. I have to say that there is no contact information. There's no way this can be traced back to any individual or any band. And that's what makes Weekly Drone brilliant. You know, I do know people have very strong opinions on things and will kind of scared to talk out about it, you know, for fear of reprisal against their pipe band, for example. They don't want their commentary on the scene or anything to do with bagpiping to kind of reflect poorly on the band that they're with. So that's where Weekly Drone comes in. Totally anonymous. All right? Absolutely anonymous. So let's just play one as an example. I wasn't going to get into this one, but I think we should. All right. Let's play you this week's Weekly Drone.
It's the Weekly Drone.
Ill-fitting shirts. Rabbi, how difficult is it for folk, especially women, to get a pipe band shirt that fits properly at the neck? It looks awful.
A pipe band shirt that fits at the neck. Yeah, that's kind of the caliber of weekly drones that we received over the course of the holidays. There were some others that we're not going to broadcast just yet, but we will get into them. But that's an interesting one. It's something that, honestly, I haven't really noticed. Now, I do know that this is a problem for pipers specifically. I don't think it's much of a problem for drummers, but I do know for bagpipers. Whenever you're blowing pipes, yeah, you know, your neck expands, or your face expands, your cheeks expand. Do you know what I mean? Like physically blowing into a set of pipes, it's a difficult thing to do. And whenever you're, getting measured for a shirt, you're relaxed. You know, they put a tape around your neck and everything's fine. And then you go to blow up a set of pipes and suddenly your shirt is incredibly tight around that neck. And it can be quite uncomfortable. So as to how to tackle that problem, I'm not entirely sure. If anything, it's an interesting one because I will be reaching out to some bagpiping outfits, or outfitters, I should say, to tell me how they measure up for outfits. You know, there is a technique involved with getting correct measurements for kilts. That's been a topic on the show here before, about a lot of people wearing kilts that are either way too long for them or just way too short for them as well. Yeah. And also, let's not get into the discussion about, the actual fashion with the selection of, dare I even say it, yellow flashes, etc. So, that's another thing altogether. But yeah, the actual measurement of a piper's shirt can be quite a difficult thing to do. So, I don't know, do you have the musician actually put the instrument under their arm, start playing, and then take measurements? I don't know. Our weekly droner then also suggested that this was a particular problem for women. And I don't know what exactly they're getting at there, but hey, if that's what they've noticed, that's what they've noticed, I guess. But yeah, we will be reaching out to a bagpiping outfitter, I guess, who is responsible for helping kit out pipe bands and asking them how measurements are taken, especially with regards to shirts. So that's an interesting one right there. It's one of which I haven't really noticed before, but now that you've pointed it out, yeah, I can see quite a lot of bagpipers out there who look very uncomfortable in their shirt. You're quite right. So, yeah, we'll dig into that one, Weekly Droner, and we will investigate a little bit further. There you are. and we'll bring that to a future show, I guess. But if you've any thoughts and opinions on that, of course, yourselves, folks, and maybe you might be more knowledgeable on this topic than me, then email in bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and let us know your opinions on ill-fitting shirts. There you are. Also, don't forget to go to the website, thebigrabshow.com, and that big button, as we've been saying, is completely anonymous. Weekly Drawn, that's where you go to let us know your thoughts and feelings, warts and all, without fear of recrimination. It's an open microphone to the piping world, and yeah, we take great pride in that, so go and check it out, and drop us in your thoughts. Okay. All right, folks, that's pretty much it for the introductions of the show. I think it's time for us to get into all the news and updates. Do you wish piping could be fun again? Bagpipers around the world continue to struggle with their instrument, despite hours of hard work trying to get better. Bagpiping should be fulfilling. Your hard work should pay off, showing improvement and the freedom to express yourself musically. Or why do it? The Dojo University believe every piper should be able to free themselves from musical frustration, proven over more than a decade of successful teaching and accessible anywhere with an internet connection. The Dojo is unlike any other bagpipe learning experience in the world. Let the Dojo channel your enthusiasm into a fun and fulfilling program that will empower you with the knowledge to fall in love with piping all over again. So go to dojouniversity.com/Big Rab and take advantage of our 30-day free trial of Dojo Premium membership. Join the global community of students today and rediscover the fun of bagpiping. dojouniversity.com/Big Rab for a 30-day free trial. Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk. Alrighty, let's get into all the news and updates. Now, there's loads, okay? I do realise that because we haven't really been properly talking with yous all for about 3 weeks now. So we're going to do our best to summarise all the news that has happened and taken place over this past, 3-4 weeks now at this point? Yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover. But if there is any particular news story that we don't manage to feature on this week's show, and we absolutely should, then again the instruction is, please do email us. Let us know that there's something that we haven't mentioned and that we really should. And we'll definitely bring it to a future show. Alright, now we're going to lead out with the story that has really caught a lot of people by surprise, and none more so than myself. There was, people visiting the Scott Curry website over the course of the past few days. Whenever you go to scottcurrylimited.com, you go to the website, it actually comes up with a very surprising announcement. You can no longer shop on Scott Curry Music. Instead, an announcement is displayed saying, "We regret to announce the permanent closure of Scott Curry Limited. For any inquiries, please contact Stephen Rodden at AAB Group, who is currently assisting the company as its director." And then it provides an email address. Now, a number of our Big Rab Show listeners has reached out to us, of course, because in the past, Scott Curry has been advertising with ourselves here on the Big Rab Show. Now, obviously, during the time of his advertisement, he was definitely, in business and trading quite a lot. And, we were very happy to throw our weight behind him because we honestly believed in him being an absolutely stupendous distributor of bagpiping products. And, this is such bitter news for a lot of people in the bagpiping world. So, as to what the reasons are behind this permanent closure, What has happened here, we've no idea. We have reached out to Scott Curry himself, and he did contact to say, yes, business is no longer trading, and that's it, to direct people across to Stephen Rodden if they do have any questions. So, yeah, for anyone who's wanting to, make use of Scott Curry music, unfortunately, now you no longer can. They have now ceased trading. It doesn't bode well. Scott Curry obviously was one of the biggest names in pipe and distributing, and this is not good news. So we really hope that this is not a start of a trend where we do see other piping businesses go the same direction. So again, this does kind of leave it open to speculation, but we just want to report the story as is presented to us, and we're not going to get into the whys and wherefores and all of that kind of stuff. So if Scott Curry himself in the near future was to come out with an actual statement to tell us what happened, then fine, we'll get into that and we'll talk all about it then. But for now, just to let you all know, for anyone wanting to avail of the services of Scott Curry Music, you can no longer do so because they are no longer trading. Yeah, sad times, I think, yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, now I know it's not really news and updates, right, but I just wanted to direct you again towards our YouTube channel. Of course, over the last 3 episodes of the show, you would have noticed that we caught up with some of the biggest names in the piping game. We had a great interview with Stephen Crichton, lead tipper of St. Lawrence O'Toole, and of course, the voice of the worlds, Mr. Christmas, Bob Worrell. We caught up with him as well. And of course, just last week, we had a fantastic interview with Dr. Richard Parks, MBE. And all of those videos are now up on our YouTube channel. So again, just to give it a shameless plug, if you do want to go and check out those videos, they're up there now on our YouTube channel. And again, just remind you, click on subscribe. It really does help us. And who knows? We will be developing our YouTube channel a lot this incoming season with a lot of great content coming your way. So, yeah. It's never been a better time to go and check it out, I guess. There you go. Another shameless plug. Why not? All right. There has been a wealth of concerts and fundraisers that have been announced over this last 3 or 4 weeks that we really think that you should be paying attention to. So we're going to plug each one in turn as we notice them, I guess. I have to give a shout out to Drumlock Pipe Band, who are going to be celebrating their 75th anniversary this year with a huge variety concert. This is going to be held in Hillsborough Presbyterian Church Hall, and that's going to be on the 8th of March. Now, as to who the associated acts will be at this variety concert, we don't know yet. We're still waiting on those details. But if you do want to go and help support Drumlock Pipe Bands and celebrate their 75th anniversary in style, get that date in your diary, 8th of March. And you can contact any member of Drumlock Pipe Band for ticket details and all of that. Yeah, so tons to enjoy there. Also, don't forget about the Kids with Cancer Charity Night. That's ahead of us as well in March. That's happening on the 22nd in the Royal Hotel in Cookstown. And, yeah, raising money for the Children's Cancer Unit in the Royal Victoria Hospital in Belfast. And, yeah, as you've heard on the show earlier, they will be featuring St. Lawrence O'Toole Pipe Band, along with the 70s Tribute Band, our world champion juvenile drum major, Louise Smighton, and a wealth of other great solo artists. I'm really looking forward to this event, actually. And if anything, in recent days, Gary has been announcing even more to the lineup. So, yeah, for full information on that, go and check out the Rab Show socials. But the Kids with Cancer Charity Night is taking place on the 22nd of March. Also, of course, it's not really a concert as such, but it's a big deal, of course. Winter Storm is taking place next week. It opens its doors, and all the information is up on their website right now for all of your classes, your workshops, all of that stuff, including all the draw for the competition and that's available as well. Then you have Winter Steam as well, which is kind of ridiculous. And we're going to get into everything Winter Storm on next week's show. All right, but just wanted to give it a bit of a plug. For anyone that's looking information on Winter Storm and all that kind of stuff ahead of the event next week, then do consider going and checking along on their website, which is mhaf.org. And yeah, all your draws, your order of play, along with all your details with your concerts and Winter Steam and all that, it's all up there. All right, I know it sounds like another plug, but definitely that's a concert that you will not want to miss. Is the Winter Storm concert. That's always a treat, isn't it? Yeah. So we'll talk more about that, of course, on next week's pod. Just fantastic. Also have to give a shout out to Lisbeg Pipe Band from Ballygolly here in Northern Ireland, who are also celebrating their 75th anniversary this year. They're going to be throwing a huge concert in celebration of this, and they have been periodically announcing the acts for this show as well. So this is all going to be taking place on the 12th of April and will be taking place in Carrick House, there at the Carrick House Hotel, in Clocker. Yeah, so get that date for your diary, 12th of April, for the This Big 75th anniversary concert. That's shaping up to be a big one, because, tons of acts have been announced, and they still keep coming. So I'm looking forward to this. Of course, also taking place in April, in fact, on the 19th of April, is the Police Scotland Fife concert. Yeah, we've been talking about this now for a while over on Fuse FM. Yeah, it's called Dancing on the Beat. It's going to be held in the Aberdeen Music Hall on the 19th of April, and tickets are available now through Bucksburn District Pipe Band, or you can go along to the Aberdeen Music Hall box office where tickets are available. Go and grab them. 19th of April won't be long in coming round, and as we know, Fife Polis have definitely been on the climb this last while. And yeah, this concert is shaping up to be quite a huge event. So yeah, by way of a shameless plug, that's another concert that you should be adding into your diary. Dancing on the Beat, the 19th of April in the Aberdeen Music Hall. Fife Polis. Oh, that's going to be a good one. Also, shout out to Yogle Pipe Band, who are going to be in concert on the 1st of March. This is going to be taking place in the Walter Raleigh Hotel. There you are. So for full information, you can go and check out the Yogle Pipe Band on their socials, and they've pretty much put everything out there with regards to ticket sales, where to go and get them, along with your links, your start times, all that kind of stuff. And I think the tickets here are €15. Yeah, so I don't know. That's definitely one to check out for Yogle Pipe Band fans. Yeah, doing a spot of fundraising with a huge concert on the 1st of March. Also, just to throw a few more concerts your way, then, on the 5th of April is Tullylagan. Yes, they're going to be hosting their own concert in the Burnavon Theatre in Cookstown. That will feature bands such as the Queen Elizabeth Pipe Band and the William Kerr Memorial. 5th of April in the Burnavon. But also on the 5th of April is a St. Lawrence Tool concert. Now, we've yet to have those venue and all that kind of stuff all confirmed, but we did manage to kind of sneak it into an interview that we had with Stephen Crichton. You might have heard that. So that concert is fast approaching as well. 5th of April, St. Lawrence Tool. Yeah, and as soon as we have more information on that, we'll certainly bring that to you. But that's a day for your diary right there. Also, then, I have to say, Celtic Connections is about to open its doors for the first time. 16th of January all the way through to the 2nd of February. This festival just seems to get bigger and better every year. And this year's Celtic, for piping fans, is kind of ridiculous. There's so many concerts and gigs filled with blistering piping, I just can't pick. And it's kind of similar to Piping Live, where it's nearly overwhelming. You'd need to work out a whole plan as to who you're going to see and when on each day of Celtic this year. Kind of crazy. So for full information, go to CelticConnections.com. Their website has all of the listings, including where you can grab your tickets. But obviously, for us pipe band fans, one of the highlights would be the huge show that's taking place in the Royal Concert Hall in Glasgow on the 25th of January in Verarian District. Yes. Oh, this is shaping up to be such a cute... Oh, man, I'm so excited for this. I can't tell you. It's affectionately called the Lunchtime Concert. And I do know a lot of people would they love the fact that it is happening at lunchtime, because folks here from Northern Ireland, we can fly in the morning, attend the concert, and then fly home in the evening. You can do it on the day trip. So, the Lunchtime Concert, as is affectionately called, as part of Celtic Connections, has Inverarian District hitting the stage at the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall. Yeah. So for full information, including tickets, go to CelticConnections.com. And I know we're mentioning Inverary here, but there's a ton of other great artists that are also going to be across Celtic. One of which, actually, are going to be releasing a brand new single in the next coming days, and that is Eval. Now, for those of you who don't know who Eval is, we've been playing a lot of their music over on our Fuse FM show this last while, and it's been really heavily requested, I guess. Well, they also have a huge gig coming up as part of Celtic, so we had to catch up with them just to find out the crack, what's going on behind the closed doors at Eval. And if you haven't checked out their music yet, where have you been? You really should. But let's catch up with them and find out all about this great gig they have as part of the Celtic Connections Festival. So welcome to the podcast, Nicky and Ewan from Eval. How are you folks? Are you well?
Hello. Yes, we're very good, thanks. Just coming out of the festive period and getting excited for some gigs and some releases.
Oh, we'll get into that. It's going to be quite an exciting time for you guys. But Ewan, obviously, I have to ask you then about this upcoming release, the new single that we've been chatting about on the show now for a while. Tell us about this.
Yes, our new single called Fagishiv Mari is coming out on the 10th of January, so very, very soon. And we had a great time recording that one. We actually got this song off Toper and Dulcich, which is a great online resource for lots of old archived Gaelic song recordings. So to get that, put a bit of our own twist on it, yeah, it's been great, and coming out very soon. I'll be playing that at Celtic Connections too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it, to be honest. Yeah, it's been requested this last while to get it on the air on the show, so we will have to get that on the show. Now, I have to say, for fans of Eval, or for those who haven't heard your music before, Nicky, I think it would be fair to say that it draws from really old traditional tunes and Gaelic song, English song as well, but put on a new modern twist on it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we are pretty interested and fans of music of the West Highlands and the islands in any case, and we kind of started the band about 10 years ago now up on the Isle of Uist. So at the time we were really kind of heavily immersed in the music of the West Highlands and the islands, and that was kind of the starting point, and it's always been a kind of main focus of ours, but we have such a eclectic music taste amongst all of us in the band, so that, of course, naturally ends up taking us in all kinds of directions, and it's kind of about bringing all of that together into a bit of a synergy between the five of us.
Which sometimes I'm sure could be a bit of a challenge, because there's so many different musical influences. Like, you listen to some of your albums and work over the years, there's such a melting pot of ideas in there, Nicky. It's kind of mad to keep up with, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's probably very true. Sometimes, I mean, from my background, it feels very, very traddy and West Highland for me. But from somebody who comes from, say, much more of a traditional background than I do, then I guess it's more left wing than that. It's a little bit more out there,
There you go. Yeah. So for the traditionalists, it's too modern, and for the modern folk, it's too traditional. Yeah, understand. Well, I think we kind of touched on it there earlier, but you guys are going to be celebrating your 10th anniversary this year. It's kind of crazy to think that the band's been going that long. Nicky, it seems I've been following you now for the longest time. 10 years?
I think by this point, I'm the only one left from the original squad, because we've all kind of gone off and done different things, and but it's exciting that it's been 10 years that we've managed to keep it going that long and been releasing music and touring, and obviously it's been a bit quiet the past wee while because we've all focused on other projects, but we're really excited to start making music together again, releasing it and getting on the road. So we have a few exciting things happening this year throughout the summer. Throughout the spring, the summer, and then into the autumn, on the road to celebrate the kind of 10 years of the band. So that'll be very great.
There we are. I'll keep across that now. But obviously, the reason we have you on the show this week is your huge gig coming up now as part of Celtic. Tell us about this.
Well, we're really excited for it. It's on the 23rd of January at the Macintosh Church, which is a beautiful venue designed by Erinn Macintosh. And we're playing with the Canny Band, who is a band that's very close to my heart because they're lads that I've known since I was quite young. I'm from the Northeast. Michael, the keyboard player, is from the Northeast, so we kind of grew up playing music together, and it's exciting for me to be playing on a gig with them. We're just really keen to be getting back to Celtic Connections and being able to showcase some of the new music, getting some of the old stuff on the go. We might have a wee treat of some familiar faced guests joining us at the end of the gig. We're just really excited to get back on the stage with everyone.
Oh, superb. Well, lads, I'll let you go at that, but I have to say, for folks wanting tickets for the gig, go to CelticConnections.com, grab tickets for it. Do not miss this. It's honestly one of the highlights for me in the Celtic Festival this year. So, you and Nicky, thank you so much for joining us on the show this week.
Thanks so much,
best of luck with your gig.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Shout out to Ewan and Nikki both from Eval there. Thank you so much for joining us. Apologies for some of the sound dipping out there and stuff. I guess we're at the mercy of the internet gods. But yeah, definitely a band you should be checking out. So if you want to type it into your search engine and go and have a listen to their music now, go for it. EBHAL, Eval. And yeah, there's a ton of great music to come our way, I reckon, in the near future, including that new single we were talking about. So we'll look forward to that. Of course, that'll be featured on our Fuse FM show, of course, too. So yeah, we'll be playing a lot of that. And we're really looking forward to their gig at Celtic for sure. Right, so concerts and stuff aplenty, all right? I know there may well have been quite a few that we haven't mentioned, well, including one here being the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland. I forgot about that one. Yeah, they put out the announcement just yesterday, actually, at the point of me recording this, that, on the 19th of April, they're going to be at the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall. Now, this concert has yet to have a proper title. Yeah. Now, from what we remember in previous years, the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland, they host this concert every year, and they always thump it out of the park. They're a previous Big Rab Show award winner for Live Act of the Year. This band knows how to put on a show. So, yeah, shout out to the National Youth Pipe Band. We're very excited for this one. 19th of April, Glasgow Royal Concert Hall, National Youth Pipe Band. This is always a stellar show, you know, so I can't wait. We're over 120 young folk will take the stage and absolutely melt our face. Looking forward to it. All right, let's get away from concerts and stuff. There's been so much this last while. Concerts announced, I suppose, right now, you know, this time from January through to March, maybe April as well. Yeah, we're in the middle of concert season right now. So if your band does have a concert or a fundraiser or anything like that coming up in the next few months, please do let us know here in the Rab Show, and we'll do our best to get it announced here on the show. That email address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Let us know the crack and what's going on, and we can help plug it for you. Right, well, another news story that dropped just this past week, of course, was the publication of the King's New Year's Honours List. Yes, which included a couple of pipers. Yeah, and one of them of which, of course, would be a well-known figure here in the bagpiping scene in Northern Ireland, and that is Pipe Major Robert Kirkland. Yes, he's Pipe Major of the William Kerr Memorial Pipe Band, of course, in County Tyrone, and he's received a BEM for 60 years of service to the piping and drumming community here in Northern Ireland. So definitely a well-known figure, and yeah, a worthy accolade for years of tireless service to the piping community. So well done. Also receiving a BEM is Pipe Major Chris Armstrong. Yes, of Scottish Power Pipe Band, of course. Again, for services to music. So yeah, congratulations to both Robert Kirkland and Chris Armstrong on your recent honours. Well done. Okay, I'm going to give a bit of a plug here to a couple of education opportunities here locally in Northern Ireland, and that is the Pipe Band College, ran of course by the RSPBA Northern Ireland branch. Registrations are now currently open for all of their centres, and yeah, classes start on the 11th of January, so they're looking for learners or those who are experienced. All levels are all accepted. So, yeah, there's venues all across the province. And, yeah, for more information, go to Pipe Band College NI on their socials. And, yeah, as I say, everything, all the registrations are open right now. And classes start on the 11th of January. So, take advantage of that opportunity. Also, of course, at the point of me recording this, the 8th of January, yeah, enrolments for the Northern Ireland Piping and Drumming School are currently open. Yeah, I think the first class of term number 2, actually starts tonight at the point of me recording this at Ranfurley House there in Dungannon. So, yeah, there's tons of centres, again, all across Northern Ireland for the Northern Ireland Piping and Drumming School. And for full information, again, you can check all of their socials, or you can email sharon-canavan@nipds.network. There you are. So, yeah, I don't know, there's tons of great piping and drumming schools. Often people would say to me that it's difficult to get lessons. I don't think there's been a better time to get lessons at the minute. There's tons of piping and drumming schools and opportunities for private lessons even, as well as these piping and drumming schools that do some fantastic work. So, yeah, I don't think there has been a better time to pick up the instrument, if I'm honest. Now, the reason I'm kind of ranting on that is because there was a recent story published by the Herald newspaper, and it was put online, and I have to say, the outpouring of vitriol from around the piping scene was crazy. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because the article itself said that bagpipes are in the doldrums and are in decline. Yes, saying that it's incredibly difficult to get lessons and stuff, and the sales of bagpipes are in a rapid decline. Yeah, so a lot of people online were disagreeing with this. They were saying that their sources that they used to research this article were not a bagpipe distributor. Yes, they went to a website called Gear 4 Music, and they say that the sale of kazoos are more than their sale of bagpipes. Now, ourselves in the Rab Show, we done our due diligence, and we went to Gear 4 Music on their website, and yes, they sell the usual stuff like keyboards, drums, guitars, all that kind of stuff, and then you type in the word bagpipes, and of course, you can just imagine the kind of bagpipes that you would get. Yeah, the kind of bagpipes that you would use as firelighters, or maybe a nice little decoration for your wall. You know the ones I'm talking about. Yeah, with light brown coloured drones in the little tartan bag cover. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more, but that's the kind of bagpipes that were available on Gear 4 Music, so any wonder they weren't selling. And if anybody is wanting to get involved in the piping scene, they're not going to buy a set of pipes like that. They're going to want to get a proper instrument, from a reputable distributor that'll actually sound like bagpipes. Anyway, enough said, but I have to say, that article that was published by The Herald newspaper on their website, so you can go to heraldscotland.com and go and have a look at it, but we shared it on our socials there was a lot of people disagreeing with that, saying the piping in the doldrums, absolute nonsense. There's never been a better time to get into piping. If anything, see the amount of children that are learning bagpipes at the minute? It's insane. I cannot tell you the amount of young people who are picking up the instrument nowadays. It's crazy. I know it's been a bit of a focus of ourselves here on the Rab Show this last number of years. It's getting a lot of young people involved in piping and drumming. And yeah, there is so many kids getting involved in it now here in the UK. It's kind of crazy. If anything, we were talking there recently behind the scenes about the work of the Scottish Schools Pipes and Drums Trust, along with other initiatives by the National Piping Centre, for example. There's a lot of great examples of support from all across the piping world for young people getting involved in piping and drumming. So, to anyone who read that article from the Herald, just completely ignore it. It's absolute trash. And yeah, we think it's absolute nonsense. So that's what got us into that. There you are. There hasn't been a better time to get into piping, and it's certainly not in the doldrums. I don't know where they got that from. All right, I'm going to give a bit of a plug for next week's Blackthorn Piping Society. Actually, yeah, on the 15th of January, the Blackthorn Piper this month will be Pipe Major Robert Black from Tullylagan Pipe Band. Yoo-hoo, go on the lagging. Yeah, this will take place in the Ulster Scots Community Network building there in Belfast, and doors open at 7 p.m. on the 15th of January. Now, they're going to be closing their doors shortly as the season opens up in the next few months, but if you do want some piping action, and shout out to Robert, I'm looking forward to that. So he's going to be doing a bit of a recital at the Blackthorn Piping Society next week on the 15th. So there you are. If you are looking for some piping action, why not head down to Belfast and visit the Blackthorn Piping Society? Alright, let's talk about piping and drumming over the holidays. There was a lot of pipers and drummers all across the world who were playing at a lot of different community events and things like that, with celebrating, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and also, of course, Hogmanay. Yeah, New Year's Eve, I think, was a very busy time for pipers, including myself, actually. I was even piping at something myself, too. Yeah. So, commiserations to anyone who did have to listen to me, right enough. But anyway, that was a bit of crack. But unfortunately I was very ill over the course of the holidays. Managed to get myself a dose, so that was fun, and found that playing bagpipes while dosed, not fun, and I'm sure the people listening also thought the same. Anyway, but yeah, shout out to all of you. I have to say, New Ross and District were playing a lot of community events over the course of the holidays. Also, the Red Hot Chili Pipers were involved in a good number of gigs, along with Drums and Roses as well. They were gigs aplenty. I don't know if those guys ever were home over the holidays. It was kind of nuts. But yeah, to every pipe band who was out there playing at community events, tree light switch-ons, there was bands playing at old folks' homes, there was, bands just celebrating it, and for New Year's, for Hogmanay and stuff. There was so much piping and drumming all across the holidays. It was just fantastic. So well done to all of you. If you were out there celebrating New Year's and piping in the bells, as they say, well done. I don't think I've seen one bad recording yet, I have to say, even with myself included. I did manage to play Auld Lang Syne, and then That's it. Pipes down, Rab. Enough of that. I'll carry on. But yeah, I have to give particular mention to those pipers and drummers that managed to get themselves on the telly as well. Shout out to Jules Holland, of course, who's a bit of a tradition in our house, so that we always kind of watch Jules Holland every year. And of course, yeah, the Scots Guards were on there. It was just a fantastic event. Every single year, it wouldn't be the same without a pipe band performing and Jules Holland piping in the bells. Absolutely. So yeah, just shout out to all of you who were involved in all sorts of New Year's Day celebrations and piping and drumming. Well done to all of you. Okay, I'm going to give a little bit of a shameless plug at this point, but for fans of Ali the Piper, Ali has been quite busy over the course of the holiday. She's been, recording a new album, for one, that we're really looking forward to hearing about, and hopefully we'll get Ali on the show to talk all about it, hopefully whenever it's ready to release. But what I want to get into is that Ali has put out an announcement about a spring tour that she's heading out on. Now, this is all across cities across the United States, and there is loads of them all across the month of March. And yeah, a lot of these dates are selling out fast, by the way. So if you're listening right now and you are in the US and would love to go and see Ali on stage, then yeah, go and check it out, piperali.com. All those dates for her spring tour is up there now. And I think we do have it on good authority that a lot of the new material that's been recorded for her upcoming album will be performed as part of the spring tour. So that's exciting. So, hey, there's never been a better time for Piper Ali fans, you know. There's been a great opportunity there to go and catch her in concert. Tons of dates all across March. So, yeah, go and check our website for more details, piperali.com. Okay, I know I said I was getting away from concerts and fundraisers and stuff, but I do have to mention this from the McCalls. Mackenzie Caledonian are continuing to arrange these incredible piping recitals. Remember when we spoke about it on a previous show, the one with Callum Beaumont that they hosted? And we did have a wee recording from that, and it just sounded amazing. Well, the McCalls are hosting another one. This, again, is going to be held in the Woodlands Hotel, and on the 7th of March. This one will feature Angus D. McCall. No messing there. So, yeah, for full information, of course, go along and check out the Mackenzie Caledonian Pipe Band on their socials, or you can go along to their website, I guess, where they have all the tickets and stuff linked. So, for this upcoming recital by Angus McCall, 7th of March, get that date in your diary. And, shout out to the McCalls. This is very exciting to see all of these recitals that they've been running this last while. And, we're hoping that it's a great fundraiser for the band as well. Yeah, so if you do want to help support the band and be treated to some blistering piping there, so yeah, shout out to the McCalls on their upcoming recital on the 7th of March featuring Angus D. McCall. All right, just want to briefly mention this, okay? Give it a bit of a plug, let you know that it's happening. Yeah, on the 18th of January, we have the Vale of Atholl Junior Piping and Drumming Competition. Yeah, every year this rolls round. It seems to be getting bigger and better every year. So yeah, shout out to the Vale of Atholl. I think there's a wealth of entrants for this competition, actually. And just a wee reminder, actually, that the closing date for entries is right now, the 8th of January. So at the point of you listening to this, it may already be too late. However, they did put it on their socials saying that any late entries will be accepted, but you may have to play first. Yeah. So if you are interested at all in taking part in the Vale of Atholl Junior competition, then head along now. You can, contact them on their Facebook page, all that kind of stuff, and get your entries in now for the Junior Solo Piping Competition that's taking place on the 18th of January. There you are. All right, let's talk about some pipe bands that are recruiting, of which they are a lot. All right, I have to give a mention to William Wood Pipe Band. They're currently recruiting snare, tenor, and bass. Yeah, so anyone interested, contact William Wood Pipe Band. I have to say, rather than me just going through this giant list here, all right, because the list is kind of massive here, to be honest. There's Marlacoo. They have a vacancy now for an experienced bass drummer, for example. So shout out to Marlacoo, who are on the hunt for a new bass drummer. Also, Rafferty Pipe Band are on the hunt for snare drummers. So if you do want to compete with Rafferty, they have a fantastic drum corps in their time. So yeah, they're now actively looking for snare drummers. There you go. So there's tons of bands out there. Actually, I'm going to get lost in the weeds here. Another one was New York Metro. Yeah, they're now searching for a talented and dedicated bass drummer to join the midsection for 2025. All right, so I'm not going to start rhyming off the names. There's so many bands that are recruiting right now, it would make your head spin. I just wanted to throw it out there about the Big Rab Show matchmaking service. Thankfully, just ahead of the holidays, we managed to place another 2 players with 2 different bands. Now, not here in the UK, I have to add. No, these were actually based in Canada. Yeah. So ourselves, the Big Rab Show matchmaking service is not just limited to folks here in Northern Ireland or the UK for that matter. So yeah, if you are listening to the show right now and you're thinking to yourself, I'm looking for a band and I would like to play but don't know where to go, or are you a band that's currently recruiting? Well, there hasn't been a better time. Contact us now, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and put it in the title, Rab Show Matchmaking Service, and we'll do our best to get you on the grass. We'll try and, find a pipe band that'll suitable for you, if you give us your requirements. Sometimes we haven't been able to fit the bill. Sometimes, some people are looking for a grade 1 pipe band that's playing on their doorstep. Sometimes that doesn't work. But sometimes you may have to travel. But we will try and get a band geographically that is close to you and in a grading level that will suit you. So we need as much information from you as possible, and also from the pipe band as well. If you can give us as much information as to what you expect from prospective players. Do you want people who are experienced or have played to a certain grade level, or are you willing to accept complete beginners and able to provide tuition? Either way, get in contact with us. The Big Rab Show matchmaking service is in full flight right now, and I think the total for this year, it's 6, 5, 6, I don't know. I have kind of lost count now, and I don't have the records in front of me. As I say, we're refurbing the studio right now. Everything's in boxes. But contact us, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and Big Rab Show matchmaking service is definitely underway at the minute. All right, I have to give a shout out to the St. Thomas Episcopal School pipe band, who just advertised today, actually, to say, that they are looking for a full-time drumming instructor to join the team. Now, it's not often that opportunities like this do appear, and for all of the information as to the requirements and everything, that's all up there now. You can go to bagpipe.news that have actually published this story, along with all of the contact email addresses and stuff, and how to get your applications in. Now, some of the experience that's required for this drumming tutor role includes 2 years work experience of tutoring drummers, of course, and also you have to have, experience in competing, I guess. But they've also stipulated here, has to be in a grade 1 or grade 2 RSPBA graded band level for within the last 5 years. That's interesting. So, shout out to St. Thomas Episcopal Schools, and a very, kind of a cool opportunity there for someone to step in and take that drumming instructor role. That's exciting. Now, there's been a number of other instructor roles that have been advertised, and we've done our best to share those out as they happen, but I do think a good number of those are actually closing right now at the point of me recording this. But I have to say, if you are interested in tutoring jobs and you're wanting to be a teacher, have paid employment in doing so, then my recommendation is to stay tuned on the Big Rab Show social media, where as soon as we notice those advertisements, then we do our best to share them out there far and wide. So there hasn't been a better time, I think. If you're a teacher, I guess, and are looking for employment, there's tons of great opportunities out there around the UK and around the world, for that matter. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up at this point with all of the news and updates, because there is so many. Honestly, it's kind of crazy over the course of the holidays. We've done our best to kind of keep you updated as best we could on our socials, and even at times that was difficult as well. We had the full team working on this right the way up, I think, until the day before Christmas Eve, and where we finally did have to pull the plug and say, right, we need to get a break here. So I kept the wheel turning throughout, I guess. So if you do want to get all of the latest information with regards to the piping scene, we would recommend going to check us out on our socials. Big Rab Show on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads, and all that other stuff. We're across all of those different platforms. Do consider giving us a share, a follow, all that good stuff, and we'll do our best to keep you updated on everything in the piping world. I think we're even on TikTok as well. Where you might have seen my video where I was piping in the new year. Anyway, so shout out to TikTokers. Before we do wrap things up with the news and updates, I wanted to briefly mention a little announcement that we've seen from Manawatu Scottish. Yes, Manawatu Pipe Bands put out on their socials saying that they're going to be celebrating 100 years in operation this year. Now, what they're going to do to celebrate this, we don't know, but they have put little kind of teasers out there. They've told us that they're going to be hosting a centenary concert. All right, that's one thing. Also, they're going to be hosting the Manawatu Scottish Pipe Band history book along with a launch and everything. So That's going to be awesome. Also, they're going to be hosting a huge Centenary Highland Ball. Now, as to when all of this will be taking place, we don't know yet. We haven't got those details, or even where you can grab tickets for these events, or where they are, when they are, don't know. But yeah, just shout out to Manawatu Scottish, who are going to be celebrating 100 years in the game. I don't know, it's a year for anniversaries, isn't it? We had a couple of bands there with 75, Lisbeg, Drumlock, and now Manawatu celebrating 100. It's going to be a big year for a lot of bands, isn't it? Yeah. So if your band is celebrating any, sort of milestones, or again, if you're throwing any concerts or fundraisers, please do get in contact with us. bigrabshow@gmail.com. All right. Now, I do know a lot of people may well be getting upset that we're not talking about Winter Storm. As I've said, we'll get into all things Winter Storm on next week's episode. There's a lot to unpack with such a huge event. We want to dedicate a full episode to it. So we'll be doing a full Winter Storm preview on next week's pod. All right. So we're about to get into everything with the UK Championships. Now, this is such a huge topic area, and we got such a wealth of listener mail on this. We're going to do our best to tackle every aspect of this, but we can guarantee that there will be some aspects that we won't talk about, or will just happen not to mention, I guess. And if that's the case, I don't know. Will we be dedicating more episodes to this in future? I don't know. Well, I think it's time for me to go and get a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week. Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies. For all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Ghillie Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs. Wallace Bagpipes. Quality, pride and passion. Made in Scotland. Proud bagpipe supplier to the Red Hot Chili Pipers. Visit wallacebagpipes.com for more information or contact your nearest dealer. Yes, indeed. Time for Topic of the Week, and you might have guessed by the title of this week's episode what exactly we're going to be talking about. Yeah, this was previously broadcast by ourselves on the 20th of December, a couple of days after the announcement that dropped on social media. Yeah, RSPBA kind of dropped a bit of a bombshell in the bagpiping world here, particularly for Northern Irish bands. And yeah, we get into all of it on an online live stream. So if you do want to see the video of this conversation, it is available now on our YouTube channel. Again, another shameless plug for our YouTube channel, but you can go and watch the video of this conversation all on our YouTube channel. So we're going to be talking about the UK Championships. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, there's been a little bit of an announcement that's caused quite a stir here, especially for the band scene in Northern Ireland. The UK Championships are scheduled to take place in Edinburgh, and that's great, but it will be held on the 12th of July, so hence the title of this live stream, because that's quite a significant date for quite a number of people here. So, the UK Championships itself, following the announcement that it was going to be held in Edinburgh, that was a shock in one regard, because well, we now know that that major championship will no longer be held here in Northern Ireland, but also the date itself is significant for a good number of reasons. And I wanted to invite on to the show at this point David Scott, who can tell us all about why this date of the 12th of July is significant for folks here. So, David, welcome to the show.
Hello, Rob. How are you doing? And thanks for inviting me on this evening.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. So the reason I'm bringing you on is because I believe, are you in your own role in your day job, you're an education officer for the Orange Order, would that be right?
That's right. I do that on a day-to-day basis, Rob. So the role is about trying to inform and educate people a wee bit more about the tradition associated with Orangeism in Ireland, and I did globally as well.
Now, we're keenly aware of the political sensitivities around this date and everything, and we're not in the business of getting into the politics of it, but we do want to put across that this date is significant to people. Can you explain why?
Well, I suppose the first thing, my initial reaction when I heard the news was, I suppose in a sense, it was a bit of a shock, and then it became a bit of a disappointment. And then I thought about the logistics of how that might affect bands in Northern Ireland. And I suppose it's maybe a bit of an understatement to say that I can understand to some degree how this decision has come about. And maybe folks' unawareness of the importance of the date and how it may affect bands here in Northern Ireland. So the 12th of July, in terms of Northern Ireland cultural life, it's not just about the parading or the marching or processing, as some people might try to interpret, and maybe that is the general perception by the general public, not only in Northern Ireland, but more so across the island of Ireland and UK-based. The 12th of July is about, first of all, principally, it's one of the largest cultural festivals in Europe. And to some degree, and it's very hard to determine numbers, it's very difficult to do that simply because it changes year on year, and it literally comes down to the weather here in Northern Ireland. But if it's a really good day on the 12th day of July, you will have thousands of people participating in this cultural festival. And it's not just solely about culture, it's principally about a celebration of faith. And that's the core of what the 12th of July is all about. It's majority of folk involved would be the Protestant community. And it's about a celebration in terms of the constitutional position following the Battle of the Boyne in 1690. So it's primarily faith, and then the cultural heritage of the people celebrated thereafter. And I was trying to make a reference there to numbers involved. As I say, it's hard to determine, but perhaps across the 18 venues of the 12th of July celebrations here in Northern Ireland, there could be up to a maximum of 750,000 people either participating or spectating at the 12th of July venue somewhere across Northern Ireland. So I think that's the size and the scale of it.
It's really quite significant then in that regard. I didn't realise it was as big as that. Wow. So obviously we're a piping show. We are piping focused, and we know a good number of our pipe bands will have duties to do that day. A lot of them are associated with various lodges and things, so we'll have other commitments that day. Have you any idea on the scale of that? How many bands do you think would be involved in the 12th and everything?
So I think to put it into context, Rob, it'd be useful maybe for me just to let your viewers and listeners maybe have a wee bit more of a background information. And I think what maybe is understood by a number of organisations throughout Northern Ireland and broader afield is the close connectivity of the pipe band movement and the loyal orders. So, for example, I would be inclined to say there would be an unwritten gentleman's agreement that many pipe bands, in fact, I would say the majority of pipe bands in Northern Ireland would possibly rehearse or practice in an Orange Hall. And some Orange lodges, they're the custodians of the Orange Hall, they're the trustees of the property, and they're at liberty to allow whoever they like into the use of their premises. So by the nature of the organisation, that is the Orange Order, they will need the use of musical accompaniment on their parading days, for example, the 12th of July. And so there'll be like an unwritten agreement or a nod or a wink or a gentleman's handshake that, if we give you the use of the hall, that is, you the band, if we give you the band the use of the hall to practice, rehearse, to have your rehearsals in preparation for whatever you do, it'd be good if you could accompany us on the likes of the 12th of July that we're speaking about now. So I think that's the first thing to put into the mix to help our visitors overseas understand the quandary that I believe this decision is going to put some of our bands in. So in terms of the numbers, numerically speaking, I had a brief look today at the RSPBA and I website. I see there's a list of approximately 1995 bands. Many are inactive, of course, but I think from memory there's about 35 active bands. And I was trying to do a bit of a guesstimate. Now, it's not an exact science, Rob, but I think on a guesstimate, there would possibly be, out of those 35 bands, I would suspect 20 to 25 of those bands would be in some way associated with an Orange Hall or the Orange tradition and would be making use of the Orange Hall facilities. So I think that's the sort of number of bands we're probably speaking about.
I see, yeah. So the announcement itself then with this date, I think it'd be fair to say has put a lot of bands here then on this side of the Irish Sea in a very difficult position then. Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And I was thinking about this as well. And I think it'd be fair for me to say as well, Rob, that I'm not on here to criticise or condemn the RSPBA, because I understand the difficulty that they're faced with, because the current economic climate, the limited funds available to maybe councils or whatever the borough or whatever it may be, the organising body, to make that bid process. So they're limited in their choice potentially as to, number one, who can afford to run a competition, who can host it, and the logistics around that. So that's the first thing to say. But I think whenever I heard the announcement, I automatically thought of the predicament that many of our bands are going to be in, because you've got that commitment or that annual traditional commitment of a band accompanying an Orange Lodge on their 12th of July parade. But alternatively, the further you go up the grades into maybe potentially grade 3, grade 2, or even into grade 1, I think the further you go up the grade, there would probably be more of a mixed band, as in those who would be loyal to the commitment made to the Orange Hall. And there are those within the band who maybe don't fully understand and would be busting keen to get to Edinburgh on the 12th day of July, yet the other half of the band would feel that commitment and to be loyal to the lodge that hosts them throughout the winter time and into the springtime for the rehearsals. So I think this does put a bit of a predicament. And like I'm talking here about mostly about bands, but not let's forget about the drum majors and the very large supporting base that exists here in Northern Ireland for the pipe band tradition. There are many people who go along to the 12th of July, you know, following the pipe band movement. You will regularly see those people around many of the rings and arenas listening to and supporting their local pipe band. So I think it is a bit of a predicament.
It is, absolutely. But David, thank you so much for joining us on the show and kind of communicating the importance of that date to many people here. A massive thank you to David Scott for joining us here. So I know that there are a lot of political sensitivities around this. All right, we're not ignorant to that fact. But whenever we seen the announcement of the date itself, it did make us draw a breath going, oh, that's quite a significant date. And we reached out to RSPBA headquarters themselves. We wanted to see if they could send a representative from the board of directors to talk to us here tonight on the Big Rab Show. Now, what normally happens is we would normally send an email into headquarters and we would never get anything back. However, this time round, we have emailed headquarters as usual to get a statement and things like that, or a representative. And we now have a statement from our board of directors. So, hi Rab, discussions on securing new promoters never stops. The work to secure competition dates for 2025 season is still active as the British Major Championship has not been confirmed yet. Yes, we are waiting on our 5th date. Okay, moving on. The UK Pipe Band Championship was discussed at the last Board of Directors meeting on the 7th of December, where a vote by the directors was passed by a majority motion. Okay, moving on. During that discussion, it was explained that this date was the only date available from the host promoter, but in moving forward, there would be other dates, months to consider for future years. That's another interesting point right there. So the board of directors are aware of time constraints where bands need to know final dates and venues in order to plan for the 2025 season. So we've talked about that on the show, about a need to arrange for travel arrangements and such. So they're making reference to this here. The RSPBA also need to confirm these so as to inform adjudicators of the requirements for each venue, as with stewards, compilers, directors. Okay. The desire to fill the major pipe band championship goes on. Venues and dates remain and what is on offer at the moment, but we are all looking for the ideal competing season where there will be a good spread of dates throughout the year. Wishing yourselves and all pipers and drummers and drum majors a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Kind regards. So there you are. That's the statement that we got from the board of directors earlier today. Now, I have to say, I was well impressed, to be honest, that we got any kind of representation at all. We did ask for a rep from the board of directors to join us here tonight. Unfortunately, no one was available because, let's face it, it was very short notice, I have to say. But it was great to see that statement, I have to say. There was a couple of interesting points, however, that I do want to discuss a little bit further. The first one then is about that the UKs were discussed at the last board of directors meeting and a vote was passed by a majority motion. I want you to keep that in mind. And then the next one then is, that it was explained that this was the only date available from the host promoter. So that's what landed us in the situation with having the competition on the 12th of July. So I think at this point now, thankfully, we have a couple of representatives from the RSPBA Northern Ireland branch. We have Chairperson Alastair Patterson and Press Officer Erinn McIlwaine. Hello, Alastair and Erinn. How are you doing, folks?
Good evening, Rob. How are we doing?
The best. Well, first of all, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy time at this time of year, the holidays, to join us here to talk about this. I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen the chat I had with David Scott earlier talking about that date, but clearly both of you would be aware that the 12th of July would be a significant date. Would that be right, Alastair?
Yeah, look, in fairness, let's be honest, for me personally, and this is me speaking personally, it's a very important date. It's a very important date in my calendar. That's not me talking as chairman of the Northern Ireland branch. That's me talking yourself, as Alastair Patterson. So it is extremely important to me. Look, the situation we're in, thankfully I got a bit of a pre-warning that it was coming. But look, the decision to hold it on that particular date, did come as a bit of a shock, to be honest. Particularly given, the sensitivities and different things here in Northern Ireland. Look, let's be honest, not every piper or drummer will be at the 12th of July.
Yeah.
They might have something else now to go to, or they do have something else to go to on the 12th of July, so they do have another alternative. But for the vast majority, and I did hear what David Scott was saying, listening carefully, the vast majority of that is correct in the fact that there's probably 80% of our players that this could have an impact on, as in here in Northern Ireland. But look, it's here. It's happening. Decision has been taken, whether people like it or we don't like it. And that's where we are. And
that's it indeed.
We're just going to have to deal with it at this moment in time.
Yeah. So on that email, that statement that we got from our board of directors, I said there was a couple of interesting points there. And the first one being that it was put through with majority rule. And I know a lot of the folks here in Northern Ireland were asking, did anybody mention about the date around the table? And I think at this point, probably our directors from Northern Ireland would have had a say here. Alastair, would that have been the case?
Most definitely. Look, I'm aware that it certainly was talked about. There was a vote taken. I don't know what the numbers were. I'm sure we'll see at some stage whenever minutes come out. But look, yes, it was a majority decision. But to be honest, not everybody was in favour. And that includes people from other areas as well. I think, look, one of the key things, and I know we have the 12th of July issue, but I think there's a bigger thing that needs to be actually looked at and talked about here. This is actually holiday time. Yes. Traditionally, for a lot of people, this is holiday season. Yes. So there's people, like I know I had contact from one person yesterday, more or less saying that they were doing the All-Ireland in Everington Square. 2 days later, they were jumping on a plane and they were disappeared for 10 days. they're now caught in that quandary that literally they're going, do I look to try and change this holiday, or am I still going abroad for 10 days? Now, I know if I was probably them, I'd be going abroad for 10 days as well, but if I was in that position. But that wouldn't be the case for me. But anyway, I think that's the other side. And let's even look at it from, even the Scottish perspective. And this is where this is coming from. The 12th of July doesn't have the same significance to those who are probably the majority, clearly, that was on the board of directors. Doesn't have the same significance, doesn't have the same impact, doesn't go that far for them. But equally, their schools, like ours, finish at the end of June. And again, it's that thing. There's usually always a competition in Scotland and around that first Saturday in July as well, which is usually a pretty well attended event in years gone by. And then again, they're off for a couple of weeks because they don't normally traditionally have anything such as a major, which has been there standing for a long time, as in Dumbarton at the end of July. So I think there's a number of issues, and it feels as if we've really compacted our season now as well. That's also what I'm looking at, because I'm more focused on what we're doing here in Northern Ireland, and what we're trying to do, and the season that we're trying to put together. To be honest, if any of the bands want to come to Abington Square on the Saturday before to get a warm-up before that major championships, they're more than welcome. I'd be delighted to see them in Abington Square.
There you are, I was going to talk to Erinn about the All-Irelands. I'm really excited about that for sure. So, Erinn, I'm glad we get into what's traditionally known as the mid-season break. You're pretty good with your stats and figures and stuff, so I'm glad you joined this. In my memory in pipe bands, this has always been kind of the mid-season break, where bands get a bit of a reset. You get a week of chilling out, a week back to band practice, maybe start new chanters, new reads, and then you have a week to play them in before you're back again. Can you tell me, has this been the case? Like, is this the first time we'll see a contest during this fortnight?
Well, certainly from a Northern Ireland branch perspective, we're very much aware of the local parading calendar, and that forms part of the team discussions at the start of the year. And obviously, the executive under Alastair's chairmanship engages fully with the pipe majors and leading drummers of our bands across Northern Ireland by convening specific meetings with them rather than the band secretaries that would be the normal branch meetings. So he is able to then get a real feel for what do our bands want as a local calendar. And obviously, we're very much aware that not everybody does take part in the Battle of the Boyne commemorations. And not everybody takes part in the Royal Black Preceptories Black Saturday parades at the end of August. But we're very much aware that a lot of our bands do have connections. So those things are really not sort of brought in the same way that when the contest administrator is looking at trying to find a date for the solos around sort of April time, we got to be conscious of Easter moving each year and when's the best time, and then availability with the venues and stuff has to be. So it does take a lot of effort for the entire contest administration team. And as well as that, then we have to bring in the major championships that headquarters will produce. And obviously, in past years, yes, it has been very, very good that we would have always known at least a year in advance when things were happening. So we were able to then make sure that our calendar fitted around that. And obviously now, because things are later in the day, it does cause a bit more of a challenge for Tisha, Alastair, Danielle, and others involved in that. Traditionally, as you say, I can speak from a branch perspective. I can also speak from a band member perspective. And I've been in pipe bands now since 2012 was my first season. Traditionally the All Irelands is the first Saturday in July. And I think that's always been the case over its more than 70-year history. I can stand corrected on that. I wasn't alive 70 years ago. So
stuff that Erinn got wrong. Yeah.
But, that is, and that finishes. And for us, I think even to contemplate through the JAC, that's the joint association council between the IPBA and the RSPBA and I branch, to even sort of move the All Irelands to a week later. that is not something that's ever been thought of, because traditionally across Ireland,
yes,
north and south, it does become sort of a holiday time, and things like that need to be considered. So, that date is firmly locked as the first Saturday. We know as bands then, and we know as branch representatives, then we do usually get sort of that 2-week break before we would even be considering another contest. But again, just because there's no contest sort of 2 weeks later, that doesn't mean that certain bands may not be continuing to motor away. So where the 12th falls this year on a Saturday, if you've bands that have a band practice on a Wednesday or Thursday night, they may take the Wednesday after the All-Irelands with the 12th over that weekend. Bank holiday will be on the Monday and possibly the Tuesday for certain people. Maybe back to your band practice on Wednesday night. Let's get a good 2 weeks practice in before the Scottish hits. And I know that, again, there's been some comments online, Rab, that I've read over the last 24 hours about, only 5 bands from Northern Ireland went to the Scottish last year.
I was about to get into that, there's been a lot of commentary about that attendance from Northern Ireland bands.
It comes possibly down to holiday time.
Yeah.
People are taking holidays later and later. They may have other things. And just simply, for pipe band leaders, it is becoming harder and harder to even lock your players in, because people, when you were in a pipe band, I was always told you were in a pipe band, you didn't have a summer. Your summer was spent on grass every Saturday and you looked forward to it. But with so many people now, with differences in their jobs, with family commitments, schools, holidays are what
cost, it's finance, it's all those things,
everything together, and that's all having an impact. So from a Northern Ireland perspective, yes, maybe we didn't have as many bands as we would like going to Dumbarton that we've had in previous years. I mean, I've certainly been going to Dumbarton most years, even in grade 2.
It can work out expensive though for bands, and
the big one for us in Northern Ireland was always the trip to the north of Scotland, and absolutely brilliant venue at Forres, wonderful venue at Inverness, Aberdeen, great venue. So I enjoyed that, but you are talking close to £300 per member out of their pocket just to get there. And last year, certainly for us, it being that wee bit later before they announced the British Championships at Forres, we had to sort of scramble as a band to try and get ourselves up there. And I mean, I think I was in Forres. I think I was in the park for 2.5 hours. It was out of the car, get dressed,
and then go home.
Play in the rain, absolutely drenched, get back, get into the car, and back down the road. Simply because to spend money on a hotel as well as the flights or the travel, and it's not really good. However, I understand that Scotland as a country is everything should not be just in the central belt. The Highland bagpipes come from up there. Let's celebrate that by going up there, and I do enjoy it. It is cost, as Alastair says, it's cost. With regards to the United Kingdom Championships, there was no firm date for that last year. There was another promoter, and then Alastair and the late John Hughes worked together and came sort of nearly at the 11th hour.
That's right. I remember talking about it at the time.
Simply to try and deliver that, and that because it was so late at the day. Yes, maybe the entry for that was down on previous years, but we still had, I think, over 75 bands participating that at Bangor on an absolutely glorious day of sunshine. And I think everybody that came from Scotland and further afield did enjoy the day. That's just where we're at. It is a major championship. It's not something that the RSPBA Northern Ireland branch, we don't host the majors.
No,
we look after
HQ and the board to decide. Yeah.
It's a difficult situation. Look, and I think I have seen and I've read quite a few comments and different things over the last sort of 24 hours. I think people are asking why it's not happening in Northern Ireland. The simple reality is it's not happening in Northern Ireland because there's nowhere here has stepped up to the plate to put the money forward to actually bid for it. That's the reality. And we struggle from an NI branch point of view, and we're very thankful and we're very grateful for those councils and those different groups and those different bodies who come on board to actually, run these events and make them happen here in Northern Ireland. But, there's another side to it as well. We within the pipe band world, we know the difference between, a minor competition and a major championships. But see, to promoters or those who are putting up funding or finance,
it's difficult to get that across. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no difference. As far as they're concerned, they can put 40 pipe bands into a park for a local minor championships. It could be the county anthem, could be a county down, whatever the case may be, whatever area it's in, county Tyrone, whatever. They can put those in there. The difference between that and it being, the UK championships or the British, they're not seeing the massive difference. Now, yes, and I know I've had conversations with another council, and yes, there would be an interest in a European championships with some of our councils because they can see that certainly has a bigger ring to it and a bigger sound to it, and there's a bigger impact. So let's see what happens moving forward. But at this moment in time, the reality is there's none of our local councils have stepped up.
Yeah. No, there you go. So, I have to say, this, I don't know, it's bad news, I guess, in one regard, that Northern Ireland has now lost a major championship, and we are potentially, but not yet, but we are waiting to hear on the announcement of the 5th, we're potentially seeing all majors in Scotland, potentially. I keep saying that. But looking at the calendar that we have, this is the dates that we have seen announced so far. So we have the UK Championships on the 12th that we're talking about tonight, and that's in Edinburgh. The Scottish Championships, of course, 26th July in Dumbarton. Then we have the Euros in Perth. I'm not entirely sure where in Perth just yet. And that's on the 9th of August. And then, of course, we have the big one then, the Worlds then the following week. I hope you don't mind me saying this on a live stream with hundreds of people watching right now, but this does seem to be quite a compressed calendar. You're talking 4 majors here within pretty close proximity of each other.
Well, there's literally only 2 weeks between each one, and then you've got a week between the Europeans and the Worlds. And yes, I fully understand the Europeans being that week before the Worlds because it does help for travelling bands, those that are coming from further afield.
Absolutely, yeah.
That they can take in 2 major championships. But equally, again, and this is something that I'm getting and a message that I'm getting from our local Northern Ireland bands, is that it doesn't help them because that's literally 2 travelling weeks in a row, and it's getting people from A to B and on to C.
And even for the likes of yourself, getting off work.
And the pipe band world is a lot bigger than just Northern Ireland, and I'm the first to say that. Although for me, Northern Ireland's the centre of it from my world and from what we're doing. But it's a very compressed season. It's leaving me sitting at this minute in time, like potentially with the Northern Ireland calendar. We're currently sitting, provisionally, an indoor competition at the end of April. We're sitting, I'm saying all these things are potentially, but like they're going to happen. We have a championship that's going to happen at the end of May.
Yeah.
That competition at the end of May, and then the one that'll be the normal traditional one at the start of June. Like they're 4 or 5 weeks before even potentially the first major championships.
Yeah, they are.
Whereas in the past, we always had that first major in May.
Yes.
So you always got going a Saturday before it to get you started. Like that's been going on, Rob, we're around for a long time. We're a wee while longer around than what Erinn is anyway. But, we know like that was always the tradition. There was always that major and nearly always in May. Then there was one in June. And then it was July, and then it was August. That's the way traditionally that has went. It sort of was a gradual thing, so you could build your season around all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas at the minute, you take all of our bands currently now, and if you think, even just purely from the Grade 1 perspective, they're literally going to be going 12th of July. 2 weeks later, they're going to be in, Dumbarton. 2 weeks after that, they're going to be in Perth.
Yeah.
And a week after that, the Worlds. There's nothing in between.
No, that's it. Yeah, and it's quite
that Saturday in between. Trust me, they're not going to go to a local competition. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak really on the basis of being in a band, playing. I want to play. that's first and foremost. That's why I'm in a band.
Yeah.
Placing all the major championships into a compacted 5 weeks. That is a massive, massive ask of bands.
Yeah, it is.
Because we also have to factor in the British Solo Drumming Championships.
Oh yeah, of course.
Monday. We also have a pre-Worlds concert. So whichever band is playing that, Glasgow, they've got the. So I mean, you're potentially talking for whatever band that is. They're playing maybe a band practice on a Thursday or Friday. They're playing Perth. They're maybe getting Sunday off, but journeying from the parts of Scotland down, towards Glasgow.
For piping live and all of that.
And again, and again, I'm not just thinking about Grade 1 bands here. I know most people think it, but I'm using it as an example. We have some of the top world-class players for piping and drumming across the world who will be doing other things as part of piping live, which is effectively something they want to do, but it's for our enjoyment. We're there to witness that event. It's bringing in hundreds of people to the city of Glasgow, and that's why it's there. You've got the British Solo Drumming. You've then got this pre-Worlds concert, which happens each year, and it's a different Grade 1 band picked forward. And then Thursday, there's Wednesday and Thursday, there's band practices at Kelvin Grove and all round at the Green. And then you're out there on Friday morning. I mean, we were on the Green last year at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you didn't leave there until 6 o'clock. You went and got something to eat, went to bed, and you were back there again the next morning at 8:30. And you didn't get out of there until 9 o'clock. By the time you finish on Saturday, you think, I've done nothing but run around pipe bands for the last 9 days. And you're like, that's a massive ask. And the money aspect. Let's not forget, everything's getting dearer, but nobody's getting paid anything more.
No, there you go.
But also one of the points I just wanted to raise, that other people have been sort of saying online, why does it matter? Why are the Northern Ireland bands moaning about this?
Yeah.
When they don't go anyway.
I'm seeing a lot of that.
Because they didn't go to Forres. There was only 2 bands at Forres. We've already addressed that point. It's the distance. That has been the case in Forres since I can remember. It's the 2 or 3 Grade 1 bands from Northern Ireland that journey, because they're in that elite grade that has to they're challenging for that
the
prize.
big title. Yeah, absolutely.
We would have loved to have done it in Grade 2. We just couldn't afford it. But we know in Closcelt, we have to go. We have to be at these major championships. It's our bread and butter. Yeah. But, if we then put a major championship on the 12th of July, which we've done, we're definitely not going to get more than potentially 2 or 3 bands. Because, and let's not forget, Closcelt, Field Marshal Montgomery, Rivara are your 3 Grade 1 bands. You say they have to go to the major championships, they'll be at it. Well, we might have an intention as Closcelt to go. Field Marshal might be saying, yes, we're going. But then whenever your pipe major and leading drummer start looking who's not available, who has commitments with their private lodges within the Orange, who is already
a consideration,
who doesn't engage with the Orange parades, but knows that that's the local break. And that's when we were bringing in Scotland. I have a lot of friends in Scotland. Obviously, we're all friends in the pipe band world. There's half of Scotland has their holidays booked to go to Spain because they know that that's the time that they are allowed off band practice. The break from the end of June, which was usually the European Championships of Forres, Aberdeen, that was that last week. We had the All-Irelands, and then they had that 2-week break, but they were back to get a band practice in before Dumbarton.
There you go.
They're now having to change the plan. So it's not just a Northern Ireland issue, and I totally agree. I totally, I welcome from a band person's point of view that the board of directors have issued that statement. That is the most important thing, I think, to everybody.
I was really grateful for that, honestly. Yeah,
and that's great to see, and I'm very pleased to see that.
Yeah.
We're all in this together, so we all need to communicate. What we need to look going forward.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
you need to look at going forward, and it is positive to see that with that statement, future years, different dates, etc. That is good potential, and obviously as well that most people should be aware. Headquarters as an organisation, part of this organisation, they have already looked at their funding models. They knew that we had to change as an organisation to go forward. They have been very vocal about that with appointing the new
fundraising officer. Yeah,
he comes with a wealth of experience. That can only be welcomed as a positive. And let's see how that goes. We're still in the early stages of that. So I'm not here to get at our RSPBA board, but I'm not here also to basically say that everything is great. I'm sort of two fences here, but I don't think it's fair to sort of people just to start gurning and saying, oh, you don't go anyway. It's like, well, maybe we don't, but let's try and work out how we can get bands to go. The more bands, the better.
I think the discussion here tonight on the live stream was trying to put across the gravity of this, and try to give an understanding as to why this was important. So I have to thank again to David Scott for joining us here at the start of the show and putting that across. But also Alastair and to Erinn as well. Thank you guys for joining us here, talking about, on behalf of the Northern Ireland branch. Alastair, I was going to ask you then, just before I let you both go, the All-Ireland Championships, it's going to be quite a big one this year, yeah?
Yeah, look, we're delighted, in particular that we're getting to go back to the Northwest again as such. The last time it was there was 2013, so we're absolutely delighted that the executive office are on board with us for this, because it is the executive office that are on board to support the event in Ebrington Square. But equally with that, I'm working closely at the minute as well with Derry and Strabane Council, and we're hopeful that there will be some fringe events as well on the lead up to it.
I like that.
Oh yeah, we're going to have different events on the build up, and those will be happening. All being well, again, it's all subject to fund and getting final approvals and different things. Yeah. But look, we're working closely. We have a plan in place. And it's, the week leading up to the All-Ireland, there will be different events right across the council area.
Brilliant.
We hope to be starting on the morning of the All-Ireland with the walls awakening in the city, if everything goes to plan, with the sound of pipes. So, look, there's different things. We want to make it good. We want to make it an impact. And, look, there's an interest. So that's the big thing. And that's what we're working on. There's lots of other things, Rob. I'll certainly come back some other evening. We'll talk Northern Ireland purely and what we're doing within Northern Ireland for the season ahead. We can get that whenever we get into 2025. At the minute, I really should have had my Christmas jumper on and be enjoying myself. But look, here, the importance of pipe bands, the importance of this decision has brought me on to this evening.
They are.
But look, we also have to look at it, and I'm glad Erinn said what he did say there. In some ways, we do have to also appreciate that there are major championships happening, because you brought out a great hit song last Christmas.
I did,
Rob, when you didn't have any majors really on board. I think, or was it two? Was the name of the song?
Only two.
So I'm not sure what your sequel is for this year. Maybe you're going to release it the next day or two.
Who knows?
But so we are at that stage, and look, there is work going on behind the scenes, but equally with that. There's also difficulties. There's always going to be difficulties.
So just a reminder of the dates again. We're talking about here tonight the UK Championships, the 12th of July in Edinburgh. And we have the Scottish then, 26th of July, Euros, 9th of August, and then we have the big one then, 15th and 16th of August. There you are. And if you do want more information on what we've been talking about there about the All-Ireland Championships, that you can find information on the RSPBA NI's Facebook page on their socials. They've been talking about it over there, so you can go and check that out. So I have to say, it's shaping up to be a fantastic competition, so definitely worthy of your attention, for sure. All right, well, again, I have to say a huge thank you to our special guests who did join us on our online live stream there. As I say, the video of that conversation was all put out there on the 20th of December and included an interactive audience portion where we did take some commentary from folks online. So thank you for everyone who did join the live conversation. And we thought it was worthwhile bringing it to the podcast here. There are still quite a number of bands folk here in Northern Ireland who are still quite upset about this. And I have to take what Alastair was saying there, that yes, at least we have 4 dates on the calendar for 4 majors. We are waiting on a 5th, however. So, as soon as we have that detail about the British Championships, we'll definitely let you folks know. And that's pretty much it for this week's Big Rab Show podcast. Thank you, everyone, for downloading this week. And yes, I understand this has been a bit of a podcast of a difference this week. It's been very makeshift, I guess. But we're doing the best we can to maintain while we are kind of refurbing everything with regards to our usual recording space. So, yeah, for headphone users and for those out there that are thinking this pod sounds a bit different, yeah, it does. Absolutely it does, because I'm in a completely different space. But there you go. Hopefully I'll get moved into my usual recording space very soon, and it'll be business as usual. I have to say a huge thank you to everyone who did send us in listener mail on this topic about the UK Championships. Thank you. Your mail has not gone unnoticed, and a lot of those questions were posed as part of our live stream. So thank you, everyone. All right. Don't forget, if you do have any thoughts and opinions on any of this, then you can, of course, email us in bigrabshow@gmail.com, or you can send us in your weekly drone as well. Now, we do have some weekly drones on this topic of the UK Championships, and we will be bringing that to a future show. Yeah, so I think next week we'll be catching up with weekly drones, as well as talking all things Winter Storm. Oh boy. All right, so that's pretty much it for another Big Rab Show. Thank you all for downloading, and we will see you all again next week. Until then, all the best. Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show podcast. All the best.